Alrighty, welcome back to the Movie Well Marathon. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Matt. Woo!
And I sound ill, but I'm not. I just react very poorly to the change in seasons, and it got very cold very fast, and so my nose is not happy.
That sucks.
It does. We are starting our the next marathon. For us, it's the last marathon of the year. I don't actually know for sure when this will go up. It may be the first marathon of the year for y'all. Um, I couldn't tell
That
you.
works.
I'll look at it later. But we are doing a little mini marathon here, kind of. It's just a quick trilogy. It's the Chronicles of Narnia. And we're not going in depth. We're not including the one that like the BBC made in the '90s and put on TV, which I have seen bits of, and it haunts my
I've
nightmares now and
never
then.
seen
Don't, don't. It's bad. The beavers are nightmare
that.
fuel.
The
The
beavers?
beavers are awful. They're grown ass adults in Teletubby sized suits with face makeup and like little fake noses. It's bad. Don't watch it.
Sounds
It
awful.
is awful. But yes, we are on
I
Chronicles
would
of
have believed
Narnia.
like a horrible puppet over that
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, much like definitely should have done a puppet. Yes, we're on Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, the Witch and Wardrobe. Came out December 9th, 2005. This movie will be 20 years old from time of recording in 1 week. Directed by
Wow.
Andrew Adamson, story by C.S. Lewis, of course. Starring, real quick, let me get the big names. We've
I
got
love this cast.
yes, we've got Georgie Henley as Lucy, William Mosley as Peter, Anna Popplewell as Susan. She's so British.
I
Skander
know.
Skander Keenis. He's Norwegian, he's gotta be. As Edmund, Tilda Swinton, James McAvoy, of course, Jim Broadbent, and where's the big man? Liam Neeson as Aslan, and a handful of
Liam
others.
Neeson?
Liam Neeson, that's what I said. Is that what I said?
Sorry, I think there was a small.
Yeah, the big man, Liam Neeson as Aslan, and then Kieran Shaw as Ginnebrick, because he's in it all throughout, so we'll throw him in there. But yeah, Chronicles of Narnia. My goodness gracious, I have a lot to say about this movie, and I'm very excited to talk about it. I
Really?
don't know which of us should start first, because I'm sure we both have a shit ton to say about this movie. Um, so,
It's this is I was mentioning this before we started recording, but
mm,
this movie really set the standard for me.
mm,
I loved the Chronicles of Narnia growing up, dude. I read that entire series front to back. I started in the middle one time. The Horse and His Boy was my favorite book, so I would start there sometimes. I've read it through like The Magician's Nephew first to The Last Battle. I've read it with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe first and gone just like release order. I once stopped reading at the very end of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, read the entire Horse and His Boy because that happens during the golden years, and then went back and
oh,
finished The Lion, the Witch, and the
oh my
Wardrobe. Uh,
goodness.
yeah, I just like I had what all these books in one big binding, and it had like a map of Narnia and the surrounding territories like on the cover. It had illustrations. I loved this series, and this movie came out when I was 7 years old, and I was ready.
Mm-hmm,
I was there to study it, to critique it.
mm-hmm,
I was gonna hold it, accountable for its changes, and it does make a few changes, but they are so seamlessly fit into the story that it really adds and it doesn't take
mm.
away.
Okay.
A few things that are kinda worth it. Like, they abbreviate some of the time that we have with the frozen statues in the courtyard, but it
Mm-hmm,
honestly works just fine without that time. Um, they add a bit with, Peter and, like, wanting to be a soldier. That's not really super present in the first Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe book, but it would be something that Peter would be going through, and I think
mm-hmm,
it
mm-hmm,
complements his character arc really well in the movie. And the whole bit with the fox is
mm,
like, it's mentioned in passing, like, Beaver has friends that he hangs out with who are taken or disappeared by the Wicked Witch, the White Witch, and the secret police. But it's not like you don't really see that. Maybe you encounter their statues later. But with the whole interaction with the fox who like covers for them and then he becomes a connecting thread to Edmund's side of the story later,
mm-hmm,
all of that really tells the story in an effective way that I think connects some things the book leaves maybe a little bit disconnected or up to
okay.
reader interpretation, you know. And everything about the movie is gorgeous. They cast wonderful actors for
Mm-hmm,
all the parts.
mm-hmm.
They all do an amazing job with their character. The costumes and the set for Narnia are they establish a world. Like this is they're genuinely world building in this film rather than and filling in gaps. Not that there were literary gaps, just that like you don't always see what Narnia looks like in the books. You don't get
Mm-hmm.
detailed descriptions of Thomas's bookshelves in his house, but the whole interpretation is very cohesive. There is
Mm-hmm.
a style of Narnia that belongs to Narnia, and they use it really well in the
Yes.
film. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this
That's
point. My
fine.
point is high standards.
Mm-hmm.
This film stands up to. It wasn't just little kid me being odd. This movie is actually genuinely
Mm-hmm.
that good. And now I have high expectations for every movie I watch.
Yeah, hey, fair. So I have a similar little like background with this movie. I did not read the books, but it was gifted to me at the towards the end of the homeschool years, right after we had moved, and so we were still setting up a bunch of stuff, didn't have a whole lot to do. So we watched this movie on repeat for weeks and weeks
Wow.
and weeks. Love this movie.
Wow.
This is when I forget that I almost know by heart. Because it's a little more subtle in the background, I think, of like the movie pop culture these days, because it didn't end up going anywhere. Um,
Mhm.
and I
Such a shame.
Yes, I am upset. Like, well, I was, and to an extent, I am. I'm obsessed with how like the world of Narnia like operates. I'll elaborate later. Um, Loved the battle sequence so much that I just ran up and down my backyard pretending I was a part of it. I had a toy sword. I would stab bushes and piles of dirt, thinking I was taking out bad guys. I love it. The music is spectacular. It is such a good score. It is gorgeous. It is dramatic. It is so cool. I listen to that battle theme at least once a week. Not even kidding, because it's so cool. I the aesthetic of the world is great. I really so I believe to almost all things. This is gonna help one of your points. To almost all things, there is a spectrum, right? Everything kind of falls on a spectrum, and for the early 2000s, there is, I think, a spectrum of, hey, that's an early 2000s movie, and most of the time, that's a ugh reaction, because there's a grime to a to early 2000s movie. There's a campiness to it. I think right in the middle of that is the original Spider-Man. You know, like it hits all
Yeah.
those things of an early 2000s movie. It's like immediately dated. It's like kind of trying to figure out what it's doing with CGI. The music is
Mhm.
shit. It's aged terribly. Like, but then on the full other end of that spectrum is shit like Narnia. You clock that, and it's like this is a time when, for whatever reason, they were trying with everything. The cinematography is
Mhm.
awesome. There's not a weird color filter over it like we talked about with Harry Potter. Everything is not also not twinkly like Harry Potter 1 and 2. It is just believable, consistent daylight lighting, which helps
Mhm.
the tone, I think, so well, because if you establish the world, magic and human, as being quote unquote normal, then in real life you have a spectrum of, you can be fun and be silly and have joyful moments, and have just as terrifying, dramatic, spooky, serious moments, because there's a spectrum of experience in real life. So to establish that right away when Lucy gets there helps the
Mhm.
believability of the fawn, the believability of the
Yeah.
beavers, and the seriousness of the witch. So like that's fantastic.
Mhm.
The interactions are
Yeah.
great. Somehow,
That's something that we probably should come back
oh,
to,
for
just
sure,
like
for
the
sure.
complexity of the characters we get and something that is clearly for kids
Mm-hmm.
is something that I absolutely want to praise and talk about
Yes,
how it impacts the
yes.
story. But we'll do that later.
Yeah,
Keep going.
just yeah. To finish up my rant, I'm extremely impressed all across the board. I have minimal nitpicks just here and there, minimal.
Mhm.
Back real quick, because I don't want to forget this point, where everything is an illustration of how they're trying. This movie, I would propose, right off the top of my head, I know there's others, but like, perfectly balances practical and CGI. It's also, it's
Mhm.
CGI that like you can clock it, but it's not aged
Mhm.
terribly. Like the beavers, yeah, you
Mhm.
could tell, but like they're not bad. And I can only think
They
of a
look like they
couple.
belong in their
Yeah,
environment.
yeah,
It's
and
really
like
quite
the
impressive.
designs are good. They look like animals, but like they also
Mhm.
believably they smile, and nothing is overly uncanny. And then the minotaurs, they got the practical head piece. I've seen the behind the scenes of how they did a lot of this, and like it's just so good. It's so good.
Mhm.
Um, I like the creature designs, period. Which is like I was super into magic and mythical creatures and stuff when I was a kid. This movie has my absolute favorite versions of griffins ever. Is
Mhm.
that an opinion most people have? No, definitely not. But like I thought the one in Spiderwick Chronicles was too big. I thought there's another movie that has
Mhm.
griffins that I didn't like as much. This movie nails it. I love that fucking griffin that flies in during when the battle theme begins, and like it's just a perfect balance.
Mhm.
He's got feathery ears and he's got the talons, but he's also like the size of a lion. Oh, I gotta stop. I love the aesthetic. Also, costumes. Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. It
Every
is.
costume is
It is. Yes.
beautiful.
It is so easy for me to get bored with knight armor because there's only so many ways
Mhm.
to do it. Peter's armor that he wears when he rides into battle is magnificent. Absolutely
Peter the
magnificent.
Magnificent.
Yes. 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 It's so good and I love it. There's so much to talk about this movie. And as if you're a long time listener, and let's be honest, you're not. But
You're not.
yes, as you know, I'm a godless heathen. I don't even mind that a lot of this is like, parallel to like biblical teachings, biblical stories. I have a nitpick about that though, and I'm even pulling from my Catholic
Mhm.
upbringing, which we'll
Ooh.
get into later. It doesn't bother me. I'm not one of those atheists. So like all of it, I think is just it's beautiful. It's very fun. It balances levity and seriousness so well, and I think it
Mhm.
helps that we open with the real world war to set the
I was gonna
tone.
say that
Yes, to
too.
set the tone of seriousness first and build levity on
Yes.
top of that. I think helps really really well.
Mhm.
And then I don't know how this movie is 2.5 hours long. It paces so
Mhm.
well. There's maybe a few instances of what could be considered downtime. I don't even clock it. It feels like it flies by. I don't know how they did
Yeah.
it. And I
I
think
do think there are bits in the middle section that drag a tiny bit, but,
sure.
like, it's so worth it for what you get as a
Mhm.
result, and they needed something to indicate that time was passing. Not a lot of time passes before they like, between
Mhm.
leaving the beaver's house and getting to, like, the army, but
Mhm.
there's enough time, like, it's a couple of days where the season is able to fully change. Obviously, it's, like, magically sped up, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're able to read there's, like, a passage of time happening there. You can tell that, like, the siblings are getting a little bit tense about the fact they haven't seen Edmund in a minute, so when they
Mhm.
do reunite, it feels really significant. Like, there's that middle section, even though it does feel like maybe it drags the tiniest bit. You're absolutely right, 2.5 hours. I forget that it's that long
I
every
know.
time.
That's
I put it on
crazy.
thinking to be like, like roughly, 100 minutes, maybe a
Yeah.
little more
It's yeah,
of
it's
good movie.
yeah. It's a kids
And
movie. You
it's
throw it
not.
on, but no, it's this 2.5 hour fantasy
It's epic.
epic drama thing. Yeah, it's great. So there's a lot to say, and as you said, yeah, we're rambling. We could try to get to some focus points, but I don't know. This is one I love to praise. It is so cool. It is so fun, and it's I think slightly unfortunate that it didn't get as big as the others because like I don't want to get too
Yeah,
ahead of myself. I don't, but I don't love Prince Caspian as much as this.
yeah.
I
It's
haven't
not as
seen
good.
I haven't seen Dawn Treader. I've only
Mhm.
read The Magician's Nephew. I've not read all the books. But I kind of just wish maybe everything else was ignored and we just got like a 5 movie series in the world of Narnia. Because this back and forth thing that I
Mhm.
know that some of the books include gets to me, but we'll talk about that in later weeks. But like the aesthetic, the creatures, the way the magic works, like I love all of this. On top of the griffins, my favorite version of centaurs, bar none. Because the ones in
Mhm.
Harry Potter are too big, and the one that we see in Percy Jackson is too small. These guys are perfect. Unrelated, Aureus is on my Hear Me Out cake easily. My God. Anyway,
I understand. I do.
right?
I do.
Oh, that man.
Um,
Oh, that the man with all the swords. He's got like 8
yeah.
swords.
He has so
He
many
has
swords
so
and he
many
uses
swords.
all of
I
them.
cannot tell you how many times I ran through my backyard in fake slow motion, pulling 2 swords out from either side. They were sticks. 2
Dun,
sticks
dun, dun,
out.
dun,
Cross.
dun,
Yes,
dun.
yes. Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and like, okay, why don't we start from the beginning?
Yes.
Because we
Yes. Yes.
both
Yes.
wanted to
Yes.
talk
From the
a little
beginning.
bit
From
about
the
the
beginning.
opening.
From the beginning.
So I like I don't do it anymore, but I
Mm-hmm.
used to very frequently forget that the movie opened with the air raid because
Mm-hmm.
you just don't think about the air raid when you think about Narnia.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it really does set the tone, and I think it establishes like early on
Uh
what
huh.
the themes of the story are going to
It
be.
doesn't. It doesn't just do that. It foreshadows part of Peter's plan, because if you don't open with that, you
Yeah,
wonder, why does he have
yeah,
the birds and griffins drop rocks? But it's
he
because
copies it.
he copies it.
Yeah.
That's so fucking good.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's the fact
good.
that he would use the strategies
Uh
of war
huh.
he's
Uh
familiar
huh.
with and that Narnia would not expect it
Uh
is
huh.
exactly the
Uh
kind of
huh.
thing
Uh
that
huh.
makes I mean, again, I it has been a few years, but the book doesn't start with that. The book kind of starts with them on the train as I remember
Oh
it,
wow.
and they are talking about why they have to leave. So, like, starting with the war, it like even though it's clearly a kids movie or a family movie, if you want to call it a family movie, it starts with this darkness, this reality that like everything in the world is tainted by evil.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things about the world that are bad and broken. And it leaves the family in disarray. They don't have their dad because he's gone to war. They're fighting with each other because they're running for their lives into a bomb shelter they have built into their backyard.
Mm-hmm.
That shelter is there in as a part of their house, right? The fact that Narnia comes from World War II literature is actually so significant to its storytelling, and to
Mm-hmm.
choose to include that, even though it is not directly included in the book, is amazing. They clearly understand what the book is about to do that sort of thing. I mean, like the theme is essentially the world needs saving, and you, the generation up and coming, are gonna have to save it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they ground that in the real world first and then apply it more literally, but also more like allegorically to Narnia is kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what a great way to connect the reality of the world to the fantasy that the kids are reading about because that's what Narnia is about. It's about teaching kids what their roles are as they grow up and become of age. Amazing,
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Plus, it also establishes the Pevensies as a lost group. They don't have a
Mm-hmm.
place to belong or a place to anchor. They're refugees of a war because their home is being invaded by, a foreign enemy, not
Mm-hmm.
unlike the Narnians situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot that sets them up to resonate with the perils and situation of Narnia as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's what I'm seeing in the
Mm-hmm.
first part of it. Are you seeing anything
Yeah,
else?
well, my only thing that I see as well is I don't love how this slightly interconnected world of Narnia and Earth, whether it be because of the Jesus Lion or just that's a feature, the prophecies of Narnia depend on Hitler.
Yeah.
I don't love that. We don't have to talk about that
Well,
as much. I don't love that. Um,
yeah,
That's really
there's
all. That's my only note I want to add to that. That's one of my very, very few nitpicks regarding this. Is for the prophecy in
well,
Narnia to work, Hitler has to be a thing.
and regarding I mean, there's even more crazy stuff to that. You've read The Magician's Nephew, so you know where the wardrobe comes from.
I'm assuming it's trees from that weird interdimensional forest.
Oh, good guess.
I don't
It's
actually know
actually
then.
a tree from Narnia.
Oh, see, I
He
don't. Yeah,
plants
I don't
a
know.
fruit from Narnia, grows a tree.
Oh, maybe I didn't
The tree gets
finish
struck
that
by
one.
lightning. He builds a wardrobe out of it, and that's the wardrobe
Oh,
the kids go
I see.
Uh,
I remember the forest of interdimensional pools or whatever. I always assumed the wardrobe was one of those trees. So I don't know.
I don't
I
think anybody would survive long enough to harvest one of those trees because everybody falls asleep in that
so
cave.
I gotta read them again. I own all of them. I technically stole them. We'll get into that later. But I know enough about the books that I think the Professor's Little Tobacco Silver Apple is a reference to something else.
100%.
Okay, cool,
100%.
cool.
Mhm.
I
They
like
do a
that.
lot with Diggory that I that shows again understanding of the whole
Yeah,
franchise because
you feel it, even though
the
you there's like nothing
professor
before it. Like it feels like there's care
exactly.
put into this. It's
Mhm.
so nice. It is so
Yeah.
it's the quality,
In
man.
like, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was the first one that was written, and I don't think Lewis had the idea that it was gonna turn into the franchise that it did. I think he was just writing a story, and then, like, as he was going, as so many authors do, was like, "There's more to this. I can do more with this," and so he continued to write on it. He even used a rotating cast of kids so that he could
Mm,
keep the story going and still fit, like, a reasonable
that was
timeline.
probably a
Um,
mistake.
I don't know. I feel like it actually would have made for a really good movie franchise if you could have, like, stuck with it.
Maybe.
Anyway,
I'm not super thrilled about Adam Warlock being in the third one, but we'll see.
I'm so excited for you to watch that film.
Okay,
Anyway,
okay.
focusing on what I was trying to
Yes,
say.
yes, I'm sorry.
I don't think there was any intention to have the professor as a person knowledgeable of Narnia when he first wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. However, there is clear intention in the movie that this is Professor Diggory
Hmm.
who went to Narnia as a kid, has a silver apple on his pipe as a nod to the time he had in Narnia, built a wardrobe that has motifs of Narnia on it
Hmm.
because out of wood from Narnia because he loved that his time there or it was significant to him. Um, all of that speaks to people creating this film who had intention and
Hmm.
plans to try and go all the way around and finish the franchise. And not just like in cheap gimmicky ways. The way the professor responds to hearing that the little girl
Yeah.
found a wood back of the wardrobe, he knows what they're
Hmm.
talking about.
Hmm.
And that's such good foresight. They
Hmm.
really were like, we're gonna do this if we're gonna do it. And I love that they did that.
Yeah. It's so there's weight to the acting as well, like in those moments where like it feels believable, it feels real. It's not, like I said, it's not as twinkly as Harry Potter, it's not as angsty as Percy Jackson, but it's also not as, I don't know what the right word would be, but there's some aspects of Lord of the Rings that are just straight dry now and then, and like this doesn't have that either. So yeah, it's just everything feels very well balanced. It's cool that we get some kid interactions in the real world before we hop right into Narnia. I think that helps with setting, I don't know, just setting up the
I
slow
wanted to
burn
run
of
a
it.
mansion so bad as a
Yeah, that
kid
was
because
fun.
of this movie.
Uh huh.
I don't even want to live in a mansion. I just want the opportunity to play hide and go seek in a
Yeah.
mansion with my
I've One of my other little
sisters.
nitpicks is I always find it very hard to believe that the kid that was going to touch the historical artifacts was Susan. Like, come on, girl. That's like your one thing.
I
Um,
mean, she was curious. She
but like
didn't know
she's
the
supposed to
rules
be the
yet.
smart one. She wouldn't be touching the historical artifacts. Um, but yeah, so like when Lucy
I
goes for
wouldn't
the,
have touched the historical
no, you
artifacts.
wouldn't have. Don't even lie. No, you wouldn't have.
I would 100%. I would wait till she left the room, but then
Oh,
I would
okay.
touch them.
Anyway, when Lucy goes for the first time, it is very fun. It is very cute, and
Mhm.
again, I think the designs of the creatures are very. I don't know enough about this area of art and filmmaking to put my thoughts into words. It's just there's lots of movies that have done this. Magical creatures, the half and halves, the whatever. And some of them go too far. Shall we say I can't okay, no, I thought this last night. The way this world looks and the way it operates feels as if Halloween Town actually had a budget. Like they are
Mhm.
fully fleshed out. They are believable. They are fantastical without being like it's the fairy world in Maleficent is too much. Everything is everything is overdone. All the fairies are bugs and flowers. They have things draping off of them. They all shit light. They all eat glitter. Everything is a fish that floats through the air. But then you got stuff sometimes like Harry Potter, where it's like everything is a slightly mushier human. We don't want to go full blown elf. We don't want to go full blown satyr. Kind of like we don't have satyrs in that. But then you also have Lord of the Rings, which I feel sometimes is almost ashamed to be a magical world. Elves are elves because they have pointy ears, and we say they're elves. But like the satyrs are satyrs, but like they're all and like they're symmetrical, they're anatomical, and like the sizes aren't ridiculous. Like it's really nice. It feels believable and sufficiently twinkly. Love it all. And the fact that they also
It's really like it's done simply but lovingly is kind of my
yes.
thought to
Uh-huh.
it, where like they want it to be elegant, but they want it to be elegant in a very sort of real way. Like
Yes. It's elegant is a
as
really nice word. The whole thing is very elegant.
they want it to feel like this is a conscious living sentient being
Mhm.
who anatomically has this type of body,
Mhm.
and they have developed sort of like habits and culture around that. Like, the curly hair for
Mhm.
like fawn person to tie in with like the way that the leg hair is,
Mhm.
and the way that armor is shaped for.
Yes. Yes.
So they have different armor for fawns
Versus
versus
centaurs versus
they have
yeah.
like cats don't wear as much armor because like movement is more important for them than
Mhm.
protection. Like they don't just like tack on some merchandising toy thing. Like, look, it's a Narnia cat because it has like a
Yeah.
breastplate with a big old N on the front. It's actually thought through as to how that world would develop their technology and their
Mhm.
like habits and culture, which is so cool. I mean, even their interpretation of the dryads and the
Yes.
naiads,
Ah,
the
yes.
water and tree
The tree
spirits.
spirits are so cool. Being made up of the flower petals at the end when she comes into the tent, that was always so cool. I love that so much. I like. Well, I'll hold off. I was gonna reference the second one, but I won't. That's for later.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
I love the spattering of animals we get. It's so much fun. And when I watched this, I was growing into understanding franchises and mythology as a whole. I understood to an extent that this wasn't in the same world of Harry Potter, but I was also 9. So when the Phoenix comes in, I didn't yet know that a Phoenix was, a creature part of mythology. So I was like freaking out. I was like, "Oh my god, are these supposed to be connected?" It was just so cool. Like the way they dropped the Phoenix
Mhm.
feels like another like interesting piece of intentionality. It's not just a bird that flies in. They summon it. We see it as a bird before. It has a really cool call. Like I like the sound design, and we get to see it burst into oh, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. I only wish they just keep doing that, dude. Just fly back. Like, do you have somewhere to be? Come on. But anyway.
Yeah, that's not my favorite interpretation of a phoenix, just because I do like a phoenix as an animal rather than as a spirit. But I like it was still like the sound in
Mm,
particular, like you mentioned. You hear it with the music and the moment, and you like whatever it's doing. I hope it works.
mm-hmm.
You know, there's almost not time to question it in the scene. You're just invested in
Mm-hmm.
what's happening. Uh, I
Gotta
mean,
focus. We gotta focus. We're all over the place again.
okay.
Gotta focus.
So we're at the lamppost
Yes,
roughly, right?
and
And
beautiful,
Lucy
beautiful images. I
has
love. Yeah, I love like especially when Lucy leaves and Tumnus is there and it's nighttime and his scarf is hanging. Like it's very nice. The
McAvoy is acting
ugh,
his heart out
fantastic,
in these
so
scenes.
good.
It's a little overdone, but I think it works for the film that it's
It
in,
works. Yeah, it definitely works. Tea
And I
Party
think
is
it
delightful.
there's so much to communicate with Tumnus in such a
Mm-hmm.
short period of time. Like, yeah, no, Tea Party's delightful. The lullaby is a wonderful
Oh, I love the
interpretation.
lullaby. I love the lullaby so much. The music
The
is gorgeous.
the added guilt from the roar of the lion at the
Mm-hmm.
end,
Mm-hmm.
so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good, dude.
One of my
Uh,
few nitpicks though is they do a lot of whispering in this movie and they have very strong accents, and if you don't have subtitles, when I was a kid it took me years to understand what a lot of these scenes actually we're talking about.
Interesting.
Like,
I don't
because
think I had that.
I did, especially when like Tumnus is like kind of stuttering because he's sad and he's whispering and he's putting on the accent. I didn't know what he was talking about in some of those early scenes, but that could just be me. But that's a minor nitpick.
Is this
Uh,
a good spot to mention the complexity of his character? Because I
I think
think,
so.
like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's very complex, shall we say? Very complex. I wish we got more Mr. Tumnus.
oh, there you go. Okay,
You good?
did you lose me? I lost you at a certain point. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
alright. I noted the last thing I said before I stopped talking to find the timestamp is I love Mr. Tumnus. I wish we had more Mr. Tumnus. So whatever you want to add to that, go ahead.
So, in your average like children's literature, because I'm going to say Narnia is not young adult. Narnia is fully like literature for kids. You're supposed to read it to your like 5-year old, and they can finish the series as they grow up, probably through 10 years old, maybe stretching a little bit on the 10-year old. But in your average kid story, you get pretty simple characters because you like most authors are afraid that the kids will not grasp complexity. And yet, Tumnus is the first new character we meet, really. I mean, there's Macready, who's simple, and there's a professor who's arguably pretty simple. He has complex things going on in the background, but he doesn't change or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Tumnus is our first person we meet in Narnia. And he is considered by many to be a really sweet and loving character. Like, if you just enjoy Narnia, you think fondly of Mr. Tumnus. But the first thing he does is kidnap Lucy.
Yeah, that's
Like, the
true.
first thing he does is rat her out to the secret police who are probably going to kill her, right?
Well,
Like,
he doesn't do
this is
that.
action. He kind of does.
He doesn't
He has
rat
a
her
little.
out. Edmund is the one that rats him out.
Okay. His report doesn't. Oh, it's okay. He doesn't technically fully go through with making the report, but he fully intends to make the
Yes,
report
he
and
does.
very aware that by bringing Lucy further into Narnia, he is risking her life. So, like, it's, he doesn't quite pull the trigger, but he has every intention
Mm-hmm,
to when
mm-hmm.
he meets her and brings her back to his house, right? This is like full on kind of creeper behavior. And yet, we see through the scene and through his very quick character turnaround that we are going to be interacting with characters that make mistakes and are afraid and yet do the right thing anyway. Even though they've already done the bad thing, they're going to go ahead and try to do the right thing. And it's motivated by a combination of guilt and compassion. And that is such a complex idea to serve to a kid in the first few chapters of your book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quick too. Like, you almost miss the fact that, like, from you're reading from Lucy's perspective, and in the movie you're watching from her perspective too. So you think this is a great new friend that I've just met in the woods, brought me home, got some tea, got some
Mm-hmm.
cookies.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about others having to go to the war. We're connecting. I'm learning that he lives in a world without Christmas. How horrible. I feel so
Crazy.
bad. He plays me a little song on his flute. I'm comfy. I fall asleep. I wake up. Oh no, I gotta get back to my friends. Wait, what do you mean you're kidnapping me?
Mm-hmm.
And like, in a very quick little confrontation where he just can't, like, he can barely stand what he's done or what he's currently doing, he confesses to her. She says something along the lines of like, I don't forgive you necessarily, but he's like, but I thought we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you know what? I want to be your friend. And
Mm-hmm.
from here on out, I'm going to risk my life to help you instead. Because he probably would have been fine if he had encountered her at the lamppost and left her alone. But he has fully engaged with her now. If the White Witch finds out about it, his life is going to be on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And he decides that he's going to put it on the line to help her get back home. He feels he owes it to her. He feels like he should. And like, that's the fastest character arc I think I've ever seen. And it's pulled off so well. And then, like, you get more of that later. Like, the beavers are pretty friendly,
Mm-hmm.
but they are complex people. They're willing to risk the kids' lives because they think they're the prophecy, but they also care a lot for those kids and do
Mm-hmm.
everything they can to protect them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's just we're automatically engaging in complexities. Edmund, his first experience in Narnia sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy gets kidnapped, but then immediately becomes friends with the guy and turns his life around. Edmund gets kidnapped by the Wicked Witch, or the
Mm-hmm.
White Witch. Same Wicked Witch. Wicked is still in my head.
Yeah.
But like he gets beat up, lied to, poisoned, and then tricked into believing that she is going to make him king.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of informs the rest of his actions from there on out. But even in the movie, they're doing a lot to sort of like show his character growth. And the movie trusts the audience to pick up on it. We'll talk about that later. I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
jumping to it because it happens over the course of the film, but I was impressed with how much not just Narnia the story, but Narnia the movie doesn't like they don't condescend to their audience.
Mm-hmm.
Even though their audience is kids, they're telling the story as complex as it is, with enough that you can understand what's happening, but they expect you to make some connections on your own too.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I don't think a lot of kids literature or even adult literature does anymore.
I think it's very true. I do think they could spoon feed us a little bit more because I've had to learn through friends who have read these books that Edmund was supposed to be poisoned. I don't think that's conveyed at all. I think it's
That's
just,
fair. They
yeah.
don't convey that at all, maybe.
He
Yeah.
comes across as just a whiny little shit who wants candy. I don't get that he's entranced or drugged or poisoned or addicted or like I don't get any of that. And I think part of that is kind of thrown off by the fact that Ginnebrick also drinks the drink and nothing happens to him. You know, like
Mhm.
it's in a
Mhm.
way that disarms the
Yep.
potion.
Yep.
So I
That's a
think
nitpick for me.
yeah, I would see for me in general it's a nitpick knowing because some people yeah they get really into like well Edmund he didn't mean this he didn't mean that he was poisoned. It's like if that is the case that's a slight point against the movie because it is not conveyed because my takeaway from Edmund is that he's just a little shit and I
And
never
I think
understood why they were so easy to forgive him because you know how I was with my siblings I would not have given a
that
shit like
well, I think a lot
in a
of
good way.
oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I feel like the reason they back off of that in the movie is because even though in the book it's made clear that he has this compulsion for more of what he's been given, um, he is still held responsible for his actions. And so I thought like it kind of feels like maybe they were trying to lean on that responsibility aspect a little bit more. But I do think Lewis was intentional about it. Like he didn't full on drug the kid, but he was like, it's enchanted candy, and he wants more of it the minute that he's had it.
Mm,
And so he is essentially drugged by the Wicked Witch. She gets him hooked on the White Witch. Um, she gets him hooked on it, and that is supposed to be a part of his character. I should say. Like he gets irritable
mm.
after he's been away from her after a certain period of time.
Which when you point it out, it's all there, but everything that's there was already there. Like, there's no
Yeah.
change in his character from what we see before Narnia and what we see during and after. So that could have been improved. And my one of my little pull from the Catholic upbringing points is, am I mistaken in recalling that part of the metaphor or part of the parallels is that Edmund is supposed to be Judas and his betrayal and all that, but like Judas
Mhm.
knew Aslan, shall we say, and Judas wasn't
Right.
drugged. So C.S. Lewis, my guy, I think you're kind of meddling your message here because it's all over the
That's
place.
not the idea. I
Okay,
mean, he could be considered a Judas character in the sense that he betrays those he's close to,
but
and that's like
again,
Judas is kind of a synonym for betrayer.
okay,
Um, but he's not supposed to be Judas in like the Jesus allegory here.
okay, I
He is
wasn't
supposed to
sure
be representative of what it is to be someone
because
who walks away from what he knows to be right.
okay,
And yeah.
well, my where I struggle with that again is he Judas betrays Jesus, right? And that's part of why Jesus ends up being crucified. And
Yeah.
Edmund betrays them, and that's why Aslan ends up dying and then coming
Yeah,
back.
but
Very much
it's
like
more general. So,
Is it? It
um,
feels very intentional and very
let me
parallel
explain.
in this instance.
The short version of the gospel is that all of man has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, and you cannot achieve like goodness on your own. In fact, you pretty much can't achieve goodness like or perfection at all. So God, wanting to be with his people, his creation, sends his own son who is fully God and fully human and lives that son lives a perfect life. Teaches true things while he's here, and then willingly dies, paying the price for a sin that he never actually committed. So
Hmm.
the people that drive Christ to the cross, yeah, Judas had a hand in turning him into the officials, but the actual reason that Christ goes to the cross is because people have sinned. So Edmund is supposed to be a stand-in for pretty much everybody. He's supposed to be a stand-in for those who have made mistakes, which is supposed to be everybody.
Hmm.
And like that means that like in the allegory, we're all individually responsible for that set of actions. Not because we asked for it.
Hmm.
Edmund doesn't ask for it, but
Right.
because that's how like Jesus and God responds to sin.
Sure.
So
In that case, it's
he's
dumb that he's drugged.
a little bit. Things another part of Christian theology is that the world is broken, and so that's part of the reason why we can't be perfect because
Okay.
there's no like you have agency and free will, but
Uh-huh.
the world is really hard to make it the right choice. So,
Okay. Well, noted, I guess. So where I thought there was allegory and metaphor, direct allegory and metaphor, I guess there isn't, so that's all good and fine. Um, so we're talking about Edmund. We talked about Edmund. Edmund, I think, is kind of a piece of shit. Uh, if in this version, since I don't think they convey that he's poisoned, I think he's a little piece of shit. He's better in the second one. I will say that. And his moment where he destroys the wand is badass for sure.
mhm.
And
He's a
then
redemption character. He goes on the arc,
yeah, sh-
the redemption arc.
sure, yes. And then we've talked about this before. I didn't know what the word just meant. In a title like way. So I thought when they receive their kingly and queenly titles, because he was a piece of shit for most of the movie, he is King Edmund the Just, as in
Just
just king. You don't get magnificent, you don't get any subtitle, you are just little king because you don't like I didn't know what the just meant. That was many years later. Where it's like Queen Lucy, the gentle, Queen
no.
Susan, the valiant, and
C.S.
King Peter, the
Lewis
magnificent, and just King Edmund.
Lewis is
Deal with
trying to
it.
make a comment about how you can't be just unless you know mercy.
I understand that, Mackenzie. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm just
okay,
saying,
okay. Well, you were just explaining that you didn't
when I
understand
was
that.
9, I just thought it was funny because of all, like the character that was a little turd the whole time. And when you're 9, you watch the big lion say, "Just king." It was. I just thought it was
The
funny.
just.
Yeah,
The
sure. The
just.
just, as in just that. Anyway,
As
yes,
in
I
justice.
understand that now. I understand. We need to come back. We only have like 15 minutes left. So, okay, yeah.
Oh my gosh, wow,
Yeah,
okay.
the Edmund stuff I understand from a non-angsty point of view is very interesting. He has a redemption arc. He is causing all kinds of problems, though. I will say
Yes.
though,
And that's a part of the story. Like it
I
doesn't work
I
without him
get
causing problems.
no, I get that. Flipping, but also kind of related. I find the older I get, the more I find Susan insufferable, though. I used to love Susan.
Yeah, I
I
get
thought,
that too.
yeah, I thought Susan
Mhm.
was a very protective leader like role. The older I get, the more insufferable I find her.
I think she's a perfect encapsulation of what it feels like to be a teenage girl who does know a lot.
Mm,
In the sense that, like, you're a teenage girl, you don't know how the world works, but you think you have it figured out.
mm,
Um, and it is a little bit inseparable, especially as you get older and you're like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're like 15, man,
Right,
chill.
which I get.
And
I think
mhm,
what bothers me is how willing she was to listen to the wolves. Like, girl, read the room.
yeah. Yeah, okay. There's also a part of Susan's character that, well, okay, how much do you care about book spoilers?
I want to read them, so like you don't have to tell me. I
Okay.
understand it's building to something more.
Yeah.
It's just that's
Mhm.
something I find harder with each watch as I age is Susan's character. I
I
find it
think
more
they could have
frustrating.
been my short explanation response to Susan's character in this movie, which I cannot explain without spoilers. I think they could have been kinder
Mm,
to the character in this film, but I think they were trying to set her up for something that happens later.
okay,
I still think they could have been kinder though. Like I
cool.
think the betrayal of Susan a lot of the times can be a little bit flat and they're just like she's a know-it-all and that's kind of all she is, which I don't think is fair.
Hmm.
Peter gets to be like this kind, loving protector character. Why can't Susan have that? Obviously, she's not going to like pick up a sword and fight so much, but she does have her bow
Yeah,
and
she
she
has her
does care
moments.
about her
She has her badass moments.
why is every line of dialogue from Susan sarcastic and snippy?
Hmm.
Like there should be more soft moments with her, and the
Hmm.
movie doesn't really give her time. And the way that
Yeah,
they add time for Peter, which is a little unfair,
yeah.
I think.
Well, you got to remember, Mac. This is based on Christian mythology, and enough said. So anyway, hard shift, but also on that topic. I think it's kind of fun and cool that Santa is here. It's a very cool
Yeah,
visual version. If they didn't point that out, I don't think I would have clocked it because he doesn't.
as Santa.
Yeah, because like the red
Mhm.
is subtle, and the number of bearded
Yes.
wizardly men you're gonna meet in this kind of world, I don't think is gonna be all that surprising. You know, like
Hmm.
I wouldn't find that all that shocking, but it's a cool
I do
moment.
like that they give us, like everything else in that world, sort of like an elegant, grounded, but still like
Yeah,
Narnian Santa.
yeah, I
Like
like it a lot.
it's cool.
He's magical and he's whimsical, but he's very believable, and I like that.
Hmm.
That's real nice.
Hmm.
Um, I am so like I didn't know it was Santa when the first time I watched it, obviously, but I was that little shit where like I knew it wasn't the witch because I clocked that the deer were a different color because
Hmm.
I'm that little turd. Um, that's a cool moment. I love the gifts. Of all of the ones that they get, the juice of the fire flower is the coolest thing. That I love the juice of the
It
fire flower. And
Lucy gets a little benefit from being not only the POV character, but also like the character that kind of inspired the series.
yeah,
So she does
I
like main
think
character moments, unlike the rest of the
sure.
characters. I feel like
Yeah,
they balance it pretty well.
I think
But
so.
if there's one character that's going to get the benefit,
Yeah.
it's going to be Lucy.
I think objectively Susan gets the best deal because Lucy gets one magical item and one normal item. Susan gets two magical items and Peter gets cool metal. But like unless they have some sort of
Mhm.
magical thing in the books, he doesn't get anything magical. You know, that's kind of a
I
bummer.
also genuinely love that Edmund gets nothing,
Yeah.
and like not in
He
like
gets
a
candy
bitter way, just like in like a, you know, if you aren't headed the right direction, you don't get the right
cuz
consequences
he
or
was
the, you know, the stuff
bad.
that you want.
He ain't getting
Yeah, it's
nothing
like
for Christmas.
real story stuff. Like
Uh-huh.
he's currently on the naughty list.
Uh-huh.
What do you want Santa to
Uh-huh.
do?
Mhm. That's
Uh,
good stuff.
so I've always liked that because, like, you know, a softer movie, a little bit more, you know, understanding to be like, and when you see your brother again, if you see your brother again, here's
Mhm.
something for him. But instead, he's like, he's not
Nope.
here. Can't give him a
None.
gift. Sorry,
Nope.
kid.
Not at all.
Uh,
Deal
I
with
like
it.
that. I like
Sucks to
that.
suck.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's cool. Nitpick during that fantastic, awesome moment with the river and the wolves and the sword and all that. The water, too
I think
blue.
it's the biggest.
It's just too blue.
Yeah.
It's very, very artificial. It's the most on set moment. Doesn't really hurt anything. No, not at all. But it's always bothered me. It's just too blue.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
No, I agree. It's something I noticed even as a kid.
yeah.
Like that whole scene. They do a really good job
Oh
with
yeah.
what they have, I
Oh
think.
yeah.
You could see the themes around the
Uh huh.
river and just
Sure,
the
sure,
various
sure, 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 sure,
things.
sure, sure. But yeah, they're
Yeah.
great. we just reiterate for a second. The beavers are fantastic. They are hilarious. They are lovely. The
Love
beaver
the
dam
beavers.
little home is gorgeous. I love all of it. They are so funny.
Their constant banter, even though they're like clearly in love,
Uh huh.
is amazing.
Yes.
It's great.
You
It's
mentioned
great.
for a second the fox. I love the fox. He's so much fun.
Mhm.
He's so clever. Very classic or cliche, depending on how you want to look at it, but I like it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to speed run through some stuff because we gotta talk about the ending pretty soon.
Ooh,
Yes,
since we're speed running real
yes,
quick,
yes,
Edmund's
yes.
character arc, where he goes from ratting on his siblings to this random stranger who gives him sweets, to like fully walking away from his siblings and just going to the White Witch, um, to like that one line, actually, real quick, detour, just for a second. Her line about like him sitting in the throne,
Mm-hmm.
like it, I thought you might.
Mm-hmm.
Great line, because it's speaking to Edmund's greed. He wants to be king, but
Uh-huh.
it's also speaking to her fear about the prophecy and the fact that
Uh-huh.
he thinks
It's
they've
very good.
specifically come to overthrow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, um, so then he immediately deals with the consequences of trusting the wrong person, essentially, and he meets Tumnus, which again, it's been a few years, but I'm pretty sure we don't have moments between Tumnus and Edmund
Oh, I like
in
those
the
moments
book.
in the movie. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
I'm pretty sure you just like see a fawn in the frozen statue yard, and you're supposed to make the connection that that is Tumnus. But Edmund and Tumnus's interactions, where Tumnus once again takes it his own risk to protect Lucy and Aslan by, kind of saying like, he doesn't know where they are, right? Like, don't tell him with his
Mm-hmm.
eyes. And then Edmund follows suit, and then Tumnus is immediately frozen in stone because of that lack of cooperation. The
Mm-hmm.
next time that situation comes up, Edmund cooperates. To protect the fox, Edmund steps up and says, I think there was something about a stone table, and then like he cooperates, and then the wish freezes the fox anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like the small moments, Edmund is he is growing and changing his actions every time he gets an opportunity to change his
Mm-hmm.
actions. He's just got himself stuck in a really bad situation early on, and he can't get out of it. He is fully a prisoner because of his own
Yeah.
actions
Yeah.
start through the film. And
Mm-hmm.
even though he is trying actively to make a difference, it's not working because he's, a prisoner,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I think, a really interesting and complicated point. Like, this kid is watching the bodies build up as
Mm-hmm.
a consequence of his own actions
Mm-hmm.
and knowing the witch is headed to his siblings. That's terrifying,
Yeah.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's put in this happy little kid story about like
Uh-huh.
talking animals and kingdoms and whatnot. I don't know. That's some good stuff. Sorry.
No,
Keep
you're good.
going. We got to
Yeah.
keep
Yeah,
moving.
yes. I mean that's all good and
Any
fine.
army at the army now?
Just about. We meet Aslan, and it's supposed to be like a big dramatic reveal. If you watch the trailer, it's not. If you look at the cover of the movie, it's not. If you read the book, it's not. Um,
It's
I
a good moment.
it,
It's
no,
just
no, no, no. The
never.
moment is fantastic, but it is choreographed very much like you walk into this movie knowing nothing. And for those who did, I'm sure it was fun to not know that what you're about to see is a lion. So it's just you can see the intentionality, but they also do not try to keep it subtle either. I just think it's funny. Um, the camp is awesome. We see all the Gryffindor aesthetic on Narnia really works. Um,
Mhm.
I am.
Colors of Valor,
Oh
which is
yeah,
very much what the story
yeah.
focuses on.
Uh
So
huh.
it's good.
I'm super intrigued to know what a lion has in his war tent because like, what do you need? Um,
Yeah.
Aureus is great. I love seeing all the little animals that are walking around in the background. There's like badgers and gorillas and boars and cheetahs and leopards and it's just super cool. I love the little moments between Aslan and Peter. I would love to know what Aslan and Edmund talk about because like what do you talk about? It's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're such a little fuck up. And it's like, yeah, I know. It's like, are you gonna stop? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna stop. Okay, cool. Go eat some eggs. Like, what else is it
I
gonna
imagine
be?
it's like that,
Yeah, it's
actually.
got to be something like that. Um, so that's all good and fine. And then yeah, the queen shows up or the witch shows up, and we have our little moment, and that's great. I'm sure. Look, I'm sure you're gonna have something snooty to say that's either regarding the fact that I haven't read the book or I don't know enough about Jesus.
Well,
But
actually,
hold the fuck on. I don't like or get why Aslan is very clearly visually scared to die on the stone table when he went into that knowing exactly what was going to happen.
Okay, that's
The way he talks to Susan and Lucy afterwards, he knew exactly what was going to happen. But the way he talks before it
like
happens makes it seem like he didn't know. So I feel a little bit of wishwashiness
not a
here.
that is not a fun
This is
experience, even
magic.
if you're gonna go
This is
that
magic
route.
God Lion. He's fine. He's been in fights. You know he has. Ain't no thing.
But, like, the death still matters.
Eh.
Like, the fact that he died still matters, and it's not like I mean, it's a magical loophole almost. This idea that dying for a thing you didn't do cancels your death, except that you have to actually die in order for it to work. So like it's supposed to be a part of like you have to experience death, and that's a bad thing. Like nobody wants to experience death. It's not like it's a coma.
Uh, I don't really know which would be better or worse, honestly, in that regard. But fine. Okay, fine. Yeah, the way the queen wears his fur during the battle is pretty hardcore. Gross, obviously, but hardcore. Um,
It's a very, again, surprisingly dark moment in
yeah.
this
Oh,
film
for
that has no
sure.
blood, you know.
Yeah. I love how Lucy says it once again very dramatically, the trees, and that's how they communicate to the brothers. It's I like that that builds up and it comes through. One of the things that I did clock while watching it now as an almost 30-year-old man is when Aslan has died, and now this whole army of magical creature soldiers is like, yes, you, 14, 15, maybe 16-year-old boy, we will follow you.
I think.
What is your plan? Yeah, what are your orders, sire? And I'm
Mhm.
like, are you fucking serious? Centaur man, just lead them. Like, what do you? I get that is a feature. I understand. I was
Mhm.
a child too.
Mhm.
That is a feature of the stories. That's Harry Potter. That's Percy Jackson. That's a little bit of Lord of the Rings. Like, come on. I don't care how old Frodo is. He's like 8. That's
How
Narnia.
much time do we have?
Not a lot. I'm just saying
Okay.
I understand it's a feature of the chosen one aspect, but at the
Yeah,
same
and I'm not
time,
trying to justify it. I actually have greater complication to add to the chosen ones.
uh-huh.
Um, but I don't know if we have time to get into it.
Yeah.
And like, it could potentially ruin the series for people.
Maybe because it's also like I joked about
um,
how the only reason this prophecy can even happen is if Hitler exists. But if you rearrange
yeah,
it and there is no war and they end up there through other means, one of the few things we see Peter do that's really intelligent, he only does because he's aware of the battle going on in his world. You know, like I,
yeah.
I
So
so I maybe patch what you're gonna say real quick because of the deep
it's
magic.
not connected to what I'm going to say. I absolutely promise it's not connected to what I'm thinking
Okay,
about right now.
well, let me see real quick. Let's just like real quick.
Go for
Because it's
it.
also completely 185,000% unbelievable that Peter and Edmund, mostly Peter, get like a day's training and he one hand swipes a minotaur on his way to the witch. I don't care how adrenaline fueled that little boy is after seeing his brother get stabbed by a broken wand. You're not doing that. He's 3 times your size. So the only thing I can assume is the deep magic operates like the force, and he has just gotten better at fighting the longer he's there because the magic is ingrained and it flows through him.
There actually are bits of the book that suggest Narnia magic works like that.
Oh, okay, cool. There you go. That fixed it.
But no, okay, so the complication with the Pevensies being the kings and queens of Narnia is that they are not Narnians. And
They can't
this is
be, right?
essentially, well, no, I mean there are humans that live in the world of Narnia who like you could consider Narnians the same way that you and I are considered Americans. Um, but yeah, that's later books. But I mean, that's still very much a conversation with what I'm trying to say. You could interpret this as like an imperialist or colonial, like colonization narrative. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at the time, look at the writer. You know, it's not.
Well, and like I don't think that's what's intended. I think it's a consequence of like
He's
the same
British.
thing that you're talking about with also so like two parts. First part, he is British.
Yeah.
Colonialism was not yet like fully condemned. It was just kind of slowly being disarmed,
They're
but not
doing
actually
God's work.
condemned, right? Yeah, like there's a lot of like this manifest destiny idea about like we are destined to go to this land and make it better, right? Like there are elements of that in this that I think might have seeped in simply because of the world that C.S. Lewis grew up in. I don't think that was what he intended, though. Like, my second point is I do not think he was trying to write a story about conquering lands and making them
Mm.
better. In fact, most Telomerans are problematic. That's the humans who live in Narnia. So, like, it gets more complex later. But if we're just looking at the Pevensies, and the whole story is that the Pevensies have to arrive in Narnia and rule Narnia because Narnia can't handle itself. It's a
That's
problem.
yeah, that's interesting. What you saying there,
The
Lewis? What you saying?
problem, I think what disarms it a little bit is that same logic behind why does the army listen to a 17, 16-year-old boy?
Uh-huh.
It's because supposed to be like a coming of age story.
Yeah.
And coming of age requires you to take responsibility and ownership of things that you didn't previously have responsibility or ownership over in your life. So I that Narnia is supposed to be not just an allegory to like the books, especially Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe is very allegorical to the gospel, but it's all supposed to be allegorical to what it is like to grow up and become a responsible individual who takes positive action in the world. And that's what they're trying to communicate by making them all equally king and queen. They are all individually responsible for improving the world that they are given,
Mm-hmm.
even if it is not a world in which they were able, like, they're not really responsible for this world beforehand. They didn't create Narnia's situation, but they inherited it and they have to grow up and change it and fix it. So like it just happens to overlap with that same idea of like manifest destiny a little bit.
Yeah.
So like I've thought about it. I've decided it doesn't bother me, but it does kind of sit in that corner where
Uh,
it just happens to
yeah.
resonate
It's a
a little
good
bit
thing to
with
be
that.
aware of. Yeah.
And it's a bit of a problem. It's
Yeah.
a bit of a
Because
problem.
it turns out the 17-year-old boy is like really good at strategy because the battle is amazing and the way that they run in the arrow formation and the cats come out before because they're faster and they lower the spears. The cinematography is amazing. Like the way they frame it, the music, it is
This is honestly one of the
so cool.
coolest
Yes,
battles in
it
fantasy
is.
films.
Absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't have any blood, which makes it look a little ridiculous when you get older,
Yeah, they're all
but
bloodless.
it is yeah, I mean, like, you drive a sword through someone and it comes out shining
Yep.
clean, and I'm
They're
like,
all
"Ooh."
scarecrows. And then it has
Um,
the original Endgame Portals moments, which is super, super cool when they all just flood in. My only thing with that, will I nitpick this? Yes, of course I will. Super God Magic Aslan runs at supersonic speeds to get to the witch's castle, and then comes back with all of these fawns that somehow got to the battle. I'm imagining regular speed.
if I remember correctly, the timing works out a lot better in the book. They
Oh,
actually think about that. Yeah,
okay,
they
fun.
line things up a little bit more dramatically in the movie so that things happen on top of each other a little bit more,
Mm,
but the story gets split between the boy's perspective and the girl's perspective in the book,
okay.
and when you go back to the girl's perspective, they've been at this, like, pretty much all day, so by the time they get to the battlefield, it's like
I'd be exhausted. You're running all over the
starting
place.
like yeah, it's well, I mean, Aslan gets them to the White Witch's castle, but then they have to travel back, so.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, that's cool. The battle is fantastic. I wish we had more time to talk about it. It is.
Mhm.
I rewatch it a lot because it's just so much fun. The
Do a
end
really
bit.
good job of, like, Edmund and Peter getting
Mm-hmm.
hurt and, like,
Mm-hmm.
responding to that. It's
Yep.
the White Witch is on a rampage in
Mm-hmm.
this battle. She's genuinely terrifying. Props to every actor, by the way.
Yes.
Like, Tilda Swinton is the
Yes.
White Witch in
Yes.
my mind. Like,
Yes.
there's
That's the first thing I ever saw her in. So yeah, she's always the White
yeah.
Witch.
Mhm. Mhm.
Also,
Mhm.
I love Aureus' sacrifice because even though I've barely met this dude, I'm always moved for some reason. It's so
Mhm.
cool. It's so dramatic. I'm always in it. Ugh,
Mhm.
love it.
This whoever made this script and maybe a little bit of the directing too, maybe even the casting, they are able to establish character
Mm-hmm.
really quickly
Mm-hmm.
through dialogue and blocking and energy in a scene. Like, I mean, the whole reason that the hide and go seek scene exists in the film is because they need to establish sibling dynamics and personality traits a little bit more than they've already established them. They're like, what do these kids act like when it's just them in a house, right? And that is the foundation for how we understand their characters moving forward through the rest of the film. So I don't know, this is just like if I ever need to, for some reason, write something, I'm going to reference Narnia on how to
Mm-hmm.
establish character because it happens so fast. Like you're
Yeah.
saying, Ormus had like 3 lines,
Yeah.
and yet just through his presence, we have a very strong sense of like who he
Mm-hmm.
is, what he values, what he's willing to do
Yep.
for the things that he cares about,
Yep.
and that's what makes his sacrifice in the
Uh-huh.
battle so moving. He's like he
Heck yeah.
knows he's probably not coming out of it, but he's still gonna do what he can because it
Mm-hmm.
matters to him, which
Mm-hmm.
is
Yep.
amazing. Like so good.
So good. And yeah, and then we win, and we have a really cute, fun little crowning ceremony, and we get the founders of Hogwarts. It's great. I really wish the colors align a little bit more, because they almost do. They almost
It's
do.
supposed to be perfect. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's just Peter's the only one who's like not dressed for it, because Susan's got some blue and silver, and Lucy's got some gold, and Edmund, he's like rocking the green and silver kind of thing. If Peter had just worn his red and yellow that he wore in battle, it's perfect. They're the founders of Hogwarts. It's great. And then yeah, we get some sort of weird, I don't know, metaphorical message about how Aslan really only shows up when they've been under siege for 100 years because he's got other things to do, I guess. Um, and then we go home, and this will begin my long-standing rant about how the rules of Narnia and when and why they're allowed to live in the place they've spent most of their lives is so up for debate, and it drives me crazy because it's traumatic. And oh my
I just
god,
don't agree. I don't agree.
I feel like every other psychologist would agree because it's nutty.
In the same way that you wouldn't literally follow a 17-year-old into battle, they're not literally being yanked out of their lives and put back into their
They are
childhood.
literally being yanked out of their lives and putting back into. How long do they spend in Narnia? How old are they when they go back? Because they look. Peter
It's
looks
supposed to
like.
be 30s, 40s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've spent more time in Narnia than they ever spent on Earth, and it's. I don't have so much of an issue with the fact that they go back in this one. Because, like, I get it.
Mhm.
Shit happens. Magic. Whatever. It's the fact that they have to go back at the end of the next one is insane. And I'll talk about it more next week. We're at our time, kind of. So, yeah. Anything else you want to throw on, though, for this one? Because we had lots to talk about. You can never get into all of it. There's so much to love. Oh, 'Tis a Whale. Easily. 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like
Maybe the best whale we've talked about so far.
established what I want things to be. Like this is the will
This is
in
the
my
whale.
book, I think.
The whale.
It's so good. It's I think a masterclass in so many different things, but like adaptation just in
Mm-hmm.
general because
Mm-hmm.
it is not a copy paste of what happens in the book, and yet it brings to life the important elements of the book. All of the important conflicts are present, the character actions and the logic and the themes and the message are wonderfully carried through. They even manage to add a little bit on top that harmonizes with the rest of it. Like I with this adaptation existing, I don't understand how we get bad adaptations.
Yeah.
Like
I
this
get that.
Frankenstein, like there's just you can adapt something so
Mm-hmm.
wonderfully when you care about it and when you want it to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little scared of what's happening with the Greta Gerwig stuff right now.
Ooh, yeah,
So
I guess we'll see.
we'll
Yeah.
see. I'm trying to reserve judgment until I
This
watch it. That's my general
yeah,
rule.
this
But
movie sets
there
the
are a lot.
bar. Yeah, this movie sets the bar extremely high for just
Exactly.
across the board. I like for 2005 as well. Like my god. See also the quality of the filmmaking mixed with the World War II aesthetic mixed with the fantastical aesthetic. This movie is timeless.
Yeah.
150% timeless. which is awesome.
And the fact that in 2025, the special effects still look good. Like you
Uh-huh.
said, you can catch them, but they still look, like,
Mhm.
aesthetically
Mhm.
is astounding, which
Yes.
makes me think that they're gonna continue to look good
Mhm.
as we age. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think it's something that's gonna date it too
No.
much, you know?
I was trying to clock it while watching, and it's just like a few times where it's like that's a little more CGE ish, I guess,
Mhm,
now and then, but like they're fleeting. They really are. Because like the effect of how they turn to stone is awesome. The
mhm.
just the little bits of like, shall we say, applicable magic. Like it all works really well. Like yeah, it's good. It's good. But we're at our time. We have to stop for now. But
Alright, alright.
on to the next. On to the next.
Who next?